Today's topic is setting godly goals and hitting them. Part two, hitting. We want to hit it, right? So it's easy to set a goal. Trust me. I've set a lot of goals. The second part of that is to hit it, right? We want to hit it. So, all right, we're going to launch. So let me just kind of preface this with maximum amount of learning in minimum amount of time. It's going to be a little over an hour, but we're going to hit it hard. Okay, so we got lots of stuff to go through. Don't worry, I do talk fast, and like I said, you'll have the recording. You'll be able to pause and rewind and go back. But to me, if you just got a couple nuggets, maybe one true nugget out of this, then I've done my job, right? So something you can take, something you can implement to not only set the goals, godly goals, but hit the godly goals with God's help, of course. So, all right, bunch of people jumping on Facebook now too. So we'll get going. I'm going to share my screen, and then we'll hit it live. Okay, share. You see my lovely family there? Aren't they beautiful? That was back when we were in Greece. That was when we were allowed to travel 2 years ago. We went to Greece, and that's in Santorini, beautiful place if you've ever been there. So I'm going to go back to the top. Look, I got all these slides. I started from scratch here. Okay, hit start. Let me check. All right, we have lunch. So thank you for joining me. And like I said, I'll be checking the chat every now and then. So if you have a question or if you have a comment, I would love to hear from you. And yes, and everybody asked, I just saw it again. We are recording this and we will be sending it to you. So setting godly goals. Here we go. Maximum amount of learning, minimum amount of time. So hindsight is 2020. We know, the funny thing is, 2020 hindsight. It's the only time ever in our life we'll be able to say that. Hindsight is 2020 because it is. It's literal 2020. But the future is filled with possibilities. I like that. Somebody designed it. I stole it. Or I pleasantly swiped it with legal rights. But it's, yes, it's the future is filled with possibilities. And 2021 is looking really good. So who am I? This is going to be fast because I know most of you don't care. Because in the end, I just want you to have the content. This is me and my lovely bride. She's my whole world. We've been married for 22 and a half years. Actually, coming up in July, we'll have our 23rd anniversary. I make the joke. She doesn't like it. I say we've been happily married for 19 years. We were married for 22 years. Okay, it's not a joke. We've been happily married for 22 and a half years. So she is my world. There's my kids. They're also my world. Actually, they don't look like that anymore because that was 2 years ago. My son's now 6'2" and he's got a full beard. And he's just this monster of a kid. So he looks just like the mailman. See, my wife doesn't like that joke either. I got to quit that. Okay. But this is my pride and joy. This is my new puppy. 2020 was a bad year for me. I lost my white German Shepherd. She was my world too. She was only 5.5 to lymphoma. But so we lasted about 2.5 weeks before my lovely wife and I said, hey, maybe we should look at another dog. And we found a black German Shepherd, and she is amazing. Her name is Isla Joy von Schottenhaus. And truly, I didn't think it through. I should have named her Von Schotten outside because the first 3 months was rough. We got her when she was eight weeks old. So anyway, that's me. Okay. I am an author, #1 international best-selling author. And in 2019, I keep saying last year, but man, last year I didn't accomplish a whole lot. That's why we're doing this. I wrote a book, published it. It got on Amazon international best-selling list. These are a bunch of cool people. Some of you guys are on here actually. So there's Mr. Eldon with a cool hat, and we got Les there. I don't know if he's on. He was going to be on here. Some friends of mine. There's the Wilmers, which I'll talk about there in a little bit. They're awesome. You got to be following what they're doing. But yeah, they were at my book launch. So we made it #1 international prosperous Christian hot new release, but also #1 in all these categories. So bestseller in personal growth, professional growth, Christian living, entrepreneurship, and then religion in Mexico. So United States, Canada, and Mexico, 3 international countries. We made #2 in Australia. Any of my Australian friends on here? I don't see them. I do have a couple that should be on here, but dang it, we only made it #2. No big deal. Anyway, here's my book. I'm not going to go over all this. I want you to grab it and read it. Something totally different, but there is some stuff in here about goals. But that's why and who I am, or that's not who I am. I got to be careful of that. That's part of who I am in teaching this class, setting godly goals. Okay, cool. Step 1. Here we go. In the trenches, we need to have a compass, right? So what's our true north? Step 2, there's a timeline. If you don't have a timeline, you just stretch it out forever, right? So that was my problem. I knew kind of what my true north was or what I wanted it to be, but I didn't have the specific timeline steps of how to get there. We're going to get into this, like immensely. We're going to get into this. This is more 30,000 foot view here. So it needs to point to true north. I think that's a given, like a no duh. But what is true north? So, right. So here's 2 Corinthians 5:9. So we make it our goal to please him. Who's him? Yeah, that's right. Whether we are at home or in the body or away from it, we need to make it our goal to please him. Ecclesiastes 12:13 says, all has been heard that the end of the matter is this. This is the meaning of life, right? This is our goal. This is our point. To fear God, reverence him, and worship him, knowing that he is and that he keeps his commandments. For this is the whole of man, the full original purpose of his creation, the object of God's providence, the root of character, the foundation of all happiness, the adjustments to all inharmonious circumstances and conditions under the sun, and the whole duty for every man. I pondered this allegorical question, my youth. What is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of life? Actually, some of you older people will remember this. If you ever watched St. Elmo's Fire, he wrote in the newspaper, the meaning of life. What's the meaning of life? And so literally, I was like, well, that's a good question. What is the meaning of life? And so until I read this verse, I did not know what the purpose and meaning of my life was. Now, obviously to fear God, which is reverence him, right? Reverence him, not like be afraid of him, but reverence him and worship him, knowing that he is, and keep his commandments. And obviously there's more than 10 commandments, but that's our duty. Inside those realms, we have a lot of freedom, don't we? We get to do all kinds of cool stuff, really cool stuff. We get to have businesses or jobs and professions. We get to have families. We get to have outside circumstances where we can have some fun, such as eating out and enjoying concerts or whatever else. That's cool. That still falls within the meaning of life that God gave us, which is to fear him, reverence him, and keep his commandments. All right. This is going to make more sense as I get into this here. So when I figured this out, I realized I was completely out of balance. Horribly out of balance. So I had to figure out, wait a minute, there's not just one part of life, is there? There's a lot of parts of life. And I'm going to talk about 7 aspects of life here. In fact, I'll bring them up right now. Physical, mental, spiritual, social, professional, familial, and then the last one is financial. So there's, I'm going to consider 7 categories of life, and some of those can get out of balance. So what I did, and this was a long time ago, I met an amazing man named Dr. Stephen R. Covey. If you guys probably know him, he wrote one of the best-selling books of the century called, he wrote a couple of them, but obviously it was the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and the other one's called First Things First. This is where this comes from, this balance of life. So if you know anything about First Things First, and so you have the urgent and important, and then you have the not urgent but important, and then you have the not important but urgent, and then not important, not urgent ones. So for me, if I was to narrow this, really kind of look at my life, even 10, 15 years ago, I had a lot in the urgent. I had a lot of crises. That's what urgent is, crises. And I had very little in the not urgent. I wasn't doing all these things that we'll talk about, quadrant 2. Quadrant 3 was urgent but not important. That's somebody else's problems, right? And I was helping everybody else. In fact, this last year, I felt like that's what I was doing mostly. It's not bad to help other people. That could be quadrant 2 as well, if it's strategic and on purpose. But when you're just rolling down, you don't have your oars in the water and you're going wherever you want. Somebody else says, "Hey, come help me with this," and you go do that. It doesn't help you towards your balance, your goals. That's an interruption, which would be urgent, not important. And then the last one is excessive, not urgent, not important things. Some, like binge Netflixing and all those. I don't know the terminology. I better be careful not to say Netflix and chill, I guess. I'm not sure what that means. So don't say that. Apparently that's bad. Anyway, so quadrant 4 has no value. So when you're going to balance your life, where do you steal from? That's, this is what the book says. Where do you steal from? You take from quadrant 4, of course, and we probably all have quite a few minutes or hours we can take from that. But we also take from quadrant 1 when we do more quadrant 2, and we can take from quadrant 3. So the key here is the whole point of the book. You should read the book anyway, but the point of the book is to move everything into quadrant 2. So what is quadrant 2? Not urgent, but extremely important. Reading the Bible, Is that urgent? Is that pressing, something you have to do? Nope. Is it important? You bet. Praying, spending time with family, right? Working on your health, your wealth, your mindset, your skill set. We're going to talk about all these things. What do those fall? They all fall in quadrant 2. And what happens when you do these non-urgent but extremely important things, quadrant 1 will never go away completely, but quadrant 1 diminishes dramatically because you're preparation, right? So think about it. So it's the old adage where instead of working on your business, working in your business, you work on your business. Or in the health category, you preventative medicine, like taking care of yourself and working out and exercising versus, of course, going to the doctor when something's wrong and you have an ailment. So that's urgent and important. You got to do that when something goes wrong. But if you take care of yourself in the not urgent and important, it'll eliminate, or I'm going to say it'll diminish the urgent important ones a lot. And of course, quadrant 3's the interruptions, and that's I'll talk about too, because those are kind of deceiving, right? So you don't know, they seem important, but they're not important to you. That could be like the phone ringing. It's important, but it's not what you're trying to do right now, right? So I got to answer that. But it's a distraction. It's something that's not important to you right now. Okay, cool. So again, true north. I press toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. I like it in King James says, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. That means we're going towards this goal. And we're like, what goal is that? Remember, we go back to the meaning of life. That's our goal. So the word goal here is the Greek word skopos. Don't make fun of my Greek. I'm going to say a lot of Greek today. Skopos, which means a distant mark looked at. The goal has an end, or it's in view. So it's very specific and it's timely, but it has a direction too. So we're talking about our compass here. That is our compass. That's our goal. So, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Therefore, take no thought for tomorrow, for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto today is the evil thereof. Yep. Right? Yep. Matthew 6:33 and 34. We know that. Sufficient unto today is the evil thereof. We need to plan ahead and plan out, but we also need to focus on today and now. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, more specific. We're still in the 30,000 foot view here. So get your mind aligned with the divine. Begin with the end in mind, right? So 2 Timothy 4:7 says, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have remained faithful. This is exactly what you want to say and mean it on your deathbed, right? I do anyway. I want to say that I've kept the commandments and I fear or reverence God, because that's the meaning of life. And when I, prepare for my death, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race and I remain faithful. Man, that would be cool to say. All the other stuff is moot, or it's secondary or tertiary. Those kind of things. We need to make sure that that's our end goal. That's where our compass is, right? And then our stopwatch will be, we only have so much time. And my friend likes to say it, when you see our tombstone or urn or whatever, you have your birth date. Mine was 1973 dash, then your death date, whatever that is. Well, he says we live in that dash, and some of us have longer dashes than others. Some of us are already through part of our dash, or a big part of our dash, and some people are just starting their dash. But we don't know. We don't get to pick and choose. But at the end of that dash, I want to say these words, and I think you do too. So knowing that in the big context of these goals that we're going to set, godly goals, that's why I say setting and hitting godly goals. When we have that as our marker, as our true north, everything else will lay in there, and it's perfectly fine to do all these other things. I was going to say secular things, but it's not just secular. It's also, definitely very biblical to do some of these other things as well. So cool. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Yeah. Okay. So the question is that you should ask yourself, there's two questions. One, well, maybe actually two or three. Who am I now? So when I ask this, I'm going to be careful, because I have a lot of friends that we have some good banter over this stuff. It really comes down to the things you have accomplished, things you have done, people you are with, and the mark you have left on this world right now. So we call it a balance sheet. Like in business, it's what is your balance sheet? What is your snapshot of who are you now? We're going to do that here in a second. I'm going to have you make a balance sheet. Number 2, who are you becoming? Because that'll tell you your direction, right? If you are here now, but you're going here, right? You're going the wrong direction. Who are you becoming by doing the activities you do on a day-to-day basis? And then, of course, are you fulfilling God's purpose in your call in your life? I mean, that needs to be, who are you becoming? Is it fulfilling God's purpose for you in his life? If you don't have an answer for that, then we need to talk about that. It's part of this goal-setting activity. We need to make sure you have an answer for those 3 things. Who are you now? Who are you becoming? And how are you going to fulfill God's purpose in your life? Okay, so step 1 is pray for God's direction. That's easy, right? And again, some of these are no-does, but I want to just make sure that you don't take them lightly. We need to pray for God's direction. So, for it is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of who? His good pleasure. Philippians 2:13. I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. Psalm 32:8. That's what we want. If we listen, if we open it up enough, we understand that he is here to help guide us to do his will and then do of his good pleasure. When we understand that, then things will align. Things will become clear. It'll be blinking neon signs, the direction you should go, the true north. He will show you. I guarantee it. That's part of this. Like, this scripture is true now as it was 1,000 years ago. And this is for you. And Philippians, by the way, is written directly to the Grace Administration Church, which is us today. So it's his to will and do of his good pleasure. Okay, so we want to set plans. We want to set goals. And Proverbs 21:5 says, the plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. This is the opposite kind of thing. I don't forget what they call it in English, but it's if-then statements. If you're diligent, you'll lead to profits. Or the other side of that, if you're not, if you surely have haste, it leads to poverty. That's the opposite, plans and thoughts. So premeditated thoughts at which, somebody you meditate on, it's, your purpose on, and you plot. The word plot is that premeditation is exactly what we want to do, which means set goals, set plans. So haste is to do something quickly without premeditated thoughts or consequences. So we don't want to do things in haste, or just, go with the flow with the go. Okay, 1 Corinthians. I'm not going to do this. I'm in the beginning. I'm doing quite a few scriptures just to get you on the right mindset, and then we'll go through this. So 1 Corinthians 9:24-26. Don't you realize that in a race, everyone runs, but only one person gets the prize? So run to win. That's your point. That's what you're supposed to do. Run to win. All athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win the prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize. That's what we're doing. So I run with purpose in every step. I am not just shadowboxing. Shadowboxing, right? It's not just practicing. This is it. We get one chance. We want to do it right, and we want to meet, the reason and purpose. The reason, what's the purpose of life, and what's your purpose? What's your godly purpose specifically for you? Your compass, your true north, and your stopwatch. All right. Cool. So I believe, remember I told you the 7 L's of prosperity, that we break down life into these 7 categories. There's probably a bunch of subcategories, and you may be able to break it down to 8 or 9. I would argue that this kind of encompasses all categories of life if you really think about it. So I worked on this for years. I used to have 6. Actually, I think I had 5. Like 9 years ago, I had 5 in the circle, and then I had 6, and then I'm like, no, there's 7. And so I added, kind of move around. You see these circle wheels all the time. Again, I am fallible human, so I may be a little off, but I think this is the best one that I have seen as far as breaking down the categories of life. Oh, hold on. These slides be available later. Yes, Rowena. I'm sorry. Yes, in fact, I did send out an email to download these. They're real. It's just a goal worksheet, and I'll make sure I'll send them right afterwards. I'm going to send them back. It's going to be the worksheet and this thing, and so you can do your wheel. So it's also on the group. If you're in the Facebook, I don't know where you must be on Zoom. If you're in the Facebook group, if you go to facebook.com/prosperous Christian, there is the download there. It's in the files section under files, so you can download this. Great question. I'm sorry, Ruin. If you can go get it, then if not, I'll definitely email it to you after this. So no problem. I appreciate you jumping in there saying I forgot to mention that. Okay, cool. So let's get into these 7 categories of life, or I call them 7 owls. I know it's dumb. My wife makes fun of me all the time. So the spiritual, mental, professional. I had no better way of defining it. So please don't make fun of me. I'm a simple man, so I have to put things in simple categories. Okay, so this is what the sheet looks like. And so what you do, just like a normal, if you ever done a life wheel, you check on a scale of 1 to 10 here. How are you doing spiritually? And in a scale of 1 to 10, if 1 is horrible and 10, you can hang with our brother JC, then put your number in there. So let's go through this real quick. I'm going to go through this very fast because this is a whole nother teaching and training, and I have it. I can give it to you if you guys want it, but I teach this. It's in the mastermind. It's also in our little private group thing, but it's a 7 hours. It's actually a 2-hour course broken up into each individual part. So I am going to spend about 12 minutes on this, but we do need to talk about each one of these as a snapshot. So remember, we have to take a snapshot of who we are now. This is what we're doing. This is our snapshot. Who are we now? And I want you guys to write down how you're doing in these categories. Okay. Because then we're going to figure out how we're going to get better on each one of these and how we can get God involved. Okay. We'll talk about this too, the word or words of the year and the verse of the year in here a little bit after we're done. So, okay. So we're going to pursue each one of these. All right. The first 3 owls are all intrapersonal. Intra means within. Okay. This is why I wrote this. This is why I think it's complete, the circle. Intrapersonal means it's with me, and I have to fight with myself and work with myself, not necessarily fight, but work with myself to get better at these things. Physical, mental, and spiritual. It's all within me. Okay. They're occurring within the individual mind or self. Okay. So let's talk about these first 3 real quick. Let's start with physical. It seems like an easy one. It's pretty straightforward. 3 John 2 says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." I love that verse. It's one of my theme verses actually for this book. But I wholeheartedly believe that that's what God wants for his children, period. You to be healthy and to be prosperous, period. So trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Don't we want that? We want to help. Remember I was telling you about our true north, our compass. We want him to direct us. So be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. That's the part I wanted to get to. So Proverbs 3:5-8. The word, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and the word is what becomes health to our navel and marrow to our bones. So I always put these little jokes in there. Well, it seems your weight is perfect. You just happen to be 11 feet too short. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, so physical means your body, right? Your maintenance, your health, you're eating right, you're exercising. There's no status quo, right? So I say that, these are my little sayings, but I mean, there's no status quo. You're either gaining weight or losing weight. Unfortunately, we can't stay the same. Now, in the end, some people, keep the average about the same, but if you're not eating anything right now, right this moment, you are losing weight. You know why I know that? Because you're burning calories. Calories, eat, diminish, go in the air, and also you excrete them, and you are losing weight. That's how it works. Now, if you're eating something, you gain weight. So it's an ebb and flow. You gain weight, lose weight. So because there's no status quo, we need to take control of this, of course, input, output in our body. And, it's not as simple as calories in, calories out. But that is part of it. I mean, you can make it as simple as that. So how many calories you burn versus how many calories you take in. You can either cut calories you take in if you want to lose weight, or you can, burn more calories, which, or both, and that'll be there. So 1 Timothy 4:8 says, "For bodily exercise profiteth little." Now I want to stop right there. It does profit. The point of the scripture is totally different, but I'm just throwing out there that it does profit. Bodily exercise profiteth little, but godliness is profitable unto all things, having a promise of the life that is now and that which is to come. So obviously godliness, exercise is what that's saying, inferring, is much more profitable. It is truly profitable, but it still says bodily exercise is profitable. So we have to admit that it is. Okay. Proverbs 23:19-21 says, "Hear, my son, and be wise, and direct your heart in thy way. Be not among the drunkards or among the gluttonous eaters of meat, for the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and slumber will close them we'll clothe them with rags. So that's not where we want to be, right? I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in poverty, and I certainly don't want to be in slumber or be clothed with rags. And part of it is just, be careful on our habits, especially in our physical habits. This is not to condemn or beat up anyone in the physical realm. This is for you to decide. Remember, on a scale 1 to 10, you're going to put down how is your physical prosperity. So these are the 7 L's of prosperity. The physical prosperity, are you prosperous? So 6, 7, and 8. Now on mine, I don't remember what I think I put a 7. And that seems good, but I was an 8 a year ago, before 2020, because I'll tell you what I do with some of this stuff. So for me, I have goals, and I'll be glad to show you my goals. I don't have any problem. What did I do with them? Oh, so God, that's crazy. Oh, goodness. Printer, sorry. Okay, so on the physical goals, I have to work out 208 times. Seems nebulous, but it actually equates to 4 days a week, about 16 to 17, 18 times a month. And when you break it down, it comes down to 4 days a week. So I want to lose about 15 pounds, but you can't make a goal. And this is step 1. You shouldn't make your goals based off of the end results. You should base them off of activity, or we're going to call it productivity. You should base it off things that you can control and check off a calendar. And we'll talk about this later. I'm just planting the seed now. So I've set the goal for working out 208 times. I really can't, when I work out 208 times, I know I'm going to lose weight, or at least get in better shape. I may get muscular, but I'm going to be in better shape, right? So that's something I can set. I can check off a calendar. Now, if I set a goal for to lose 15 pounds, that's a little harder, because what does it take? Some people, it takes a lot to lose 15 pounds. Some people, they could do it, in a week and a half. Depends on, what's going on. I am going to eat healthier. This is part of my checklist, and that's very broad, but I'm going to do smaller portions. And so smaller portions, specifically, we eat out a couple times a week, maybe 3 or 4 sometimes, depending on, just because I love taking friends out to lunch or dinner. And I enjoy that. It's one of my things I enjoy. But I want to leave something on my plate. I have the hardest time, and I'm blaming my parents on this. Of course, I shouldn't blame anybody, but I blame my parents. Because when I was a kid, they said, finish your plate. We were poor, grew up in a trailer in Wyoming. We had no money. But so if I took it, you got to eat it. Finish your plate. You got to clean your whole plate. There's starving kids in Africa. Anybody heard? Anyway, I actually heard that. And I was scared, because they actually would not let me get up from the table until I finished it. Well, unfortunately, I finish my plate every freaking time now. In the portions nowadays, and don't get me wrong, especially if you go to like our local McGuire's or some of these places, they're huge. And I'm trying to finish the darn thing. And I do. I finish it, and I'm like overly full, and I should not do that. So my goal is to leave something on my plate, or at least get a to-go box. That would be even better. It's smart to get automatically split it right in the beginning. Just say, hey, give me a to-go box and split it right off. And that way I can finish my plate and get half of it gone. Okay, anyway, I'm telling you my physical goals. You can do yours, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what you can do for this. So Maslow says that our basic physiology need to survive as individuals and reproduce so that we can survive as a species. So it's important, right? So survival includes physical needs, food, water, air, safety, shelter, warmth. We need to kind of take all that into account when we're doing physical. I'm not just talking about weight and, working out and all that stuff. I just want you to know that it's all these physical needs. Make sure that on a scale 1 to 10, that your food, water, air, safety, shelter, warmth, health, which we'll talk about health here in a second, is covered. So put your number down. Put your number down on your thing. If you don't have the circle, just draw a circle and then write physical next to it, and then put your number. Okay, number 2, like I said, I'm going to go fast on this because there's a whole other thing on there. And you guys get the point, and the whole point is just to take a snapshot, so I don't want to dwell on it too much. So mental, feed your mind with good stuff. You would be amazing how much head trash we get, unknowingly or knowingly, by the crap we watch and hear and listen to. I'm not kidding you. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram or the chap snat, my daughter hates when I can say it that. I try to pretend like I don't know what it is. If you're out there and you're feeding your mind with crap, even on Netflix, there's a bunch of crap on there too. Don't get me wrong. I'm victim of this. Boy, oh boy, that can mess with your head trash, and it just starts planting all this stuff. So we want to feed our mind with good stuff. So eliminate the garbage. We want to learn. This is where I'm getting at with the goals. You want to learn. So instead of this mindless, Netflix, TV, Facebook, phone, and whatever, we want to have educational things. Guess what? Netflix has educational things. I love watching like the pyramids, and you can learn something about, history. Some of those may be better off for you. Educational stuff, or you learn a new language, or you can learn, a new skill set, which we'll talk about. I call it University on Wheels. So 2 Timothy 2:15 says, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman who needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. We're going to talk about, obviously our spiritual side here in a little bit, but part of mental is to study the word of God. And yes, it's spiritual too, but part of mental is to study and memorize scriptures for the word of God for things that you're going through and are going to deal with. So I think that should be a goal that you should set. So, this is in my book, but a lot of people talk about it. It's one of the things that I think about quite a bit. So in the Greek, the word to know is two different words. And one is oida. Oida means to mentally perceive. Like you can understand the plight. Like I can mentally perceive what pregnancy or having a baby is. This is a bad analogy. How about in the book, I use a broken leg. So I can mentally, some of you can mentally perceive what it's like to break a leg, but you may have not a gnosko. And a gnosko is actually doing it, right? It's not mentally perceiving. It's actually, it by experience. So experientially know. So there's two different words for know it, to oida and gnosko. I'm going to tell you that when we're putting together our goals for mental goals, we want to gnosko the good things. We want to know it by experience. Does that make sense? I think this is a writer downer. So Colossians 1:10 says, so as to walk in the manner worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing him, bearing fruit in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge. That word knowledge is gnosko, of God. So we want to increase in the knowledge of God, which is not just reading the word, right? That's not just, reading and memorizing the word. Even increasing in the knowledge of God is experiencing it. Completely changes that verse, doesn't it? Right? When you gnosko, which means it's experiencing it from a firsthand point of view, not just perceiving it, perceptual. Yeah. Okay, cool. So put down your number. There you go. Put down your mental number, 0 or 1 to 10 on there. So my mental goal is I'm going to read 6 new physical books. Just got this one the other day. CEO's Digital Marketing Playbook. I don't know if any good. I haven't even opened it yet, but I'll read that. So it's only one every other month. I peruse a lot of physical books, but I really don't. I don't know why. I fall asleep or whatever. I don't get through them, but I do listen to a lot of audiobooks. So I love Audible. And so 2 years ago, I listened to 71 or 72 Audible books. Last year, I only listened to 16 Audible books, and I was very disappointed in myself because I love it. And so I've already listened to one whole book this year, and I'm on my second book. In fact, the book I listened to was The 12-Week Year. You guys, I highly recommend. In fact, the guy is coming here to Pensacola. If you guys, some of my Pensacola friends are here. He's coming here, the guy that wrote the book, The 12-Week Year, and he's going to be speaking at Marcus Point Baptist Church, which will be there. My buddy Matt Robinson's going to have that. He brought him in for the Professional Investors Guild. So that's awesome. Anyway, the book I'm listening to now is called Limitless. No, it's not the movie Limitless. It's a very cool book about training your mind and expanding it in the way you learn. It's learning how to learn is what it is. Okay, so that's my mental goal, is to have 6 new books, physical books read, and 30 new audiobooks. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it's doable. Remember, these, I absolutely will commit to doing every one of these. And so when you ask me this time next year, I'm going to check off all these. I was remiss to tell you that I only hit 2 out of 7 of these goals last year. So I'm telling you about my plight. I had all intentions, just like last year, just like this year, to hit every one of these. But I had an issue. I had a mindset problem, which we'll talk about. Okay. Spiritual. All right. So we know I don't want to get into too much more preaching. I've been doing a lot of preaching already. So it's your relationship with God. And Psalm 44:8 says, in God we boast all the day long and praise thy name forever. Selah. Selah literally means think on these things. I love that word Selah. I used to want to have a radio show called Selah. So stop, smell the coffee, smell the roses, whatever you want to put in there. So, we have entered the age of stimuli bombardment, visual saturation, sound bites, micro attention spans, and we forget to put God first, which is obviously the first commandment. We should be doing that. And it's the first commandment as the prosperous Christian as well. 10 commandments of godly prosperity. Number one is put God first. We need to do that. So spiritual goals should be extremely important to us and something we should set. So I sent this out 2 years ago, and it hit home, I guess, because we had 103,000 engagements, 877,000 people reached, and 72 comments, 9.8 thousand shares. But it says, it's hard to get in shape spiritually if you only work out on Sunday. It must have hit home, because it did for me. That's why I posted it. So I think it's pretty powerful statement. So we need to work out. I'm thinking at least 7 days a week, at least. Cool. Okay. So spiritual means to meditate, like Joshua 1:8 says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written. For thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and thou shalt have good success. So if we meditate on the book of the law, God's word, and it shall not depart out of our mouth, and he shall make our ways prosperous. And that's what we want, right? I think that means we hit our goal. Prosperous, by the way, is those 7 categories, right? And prosperous is the 7 L's of prosperity. It's not just financial. And we want that too, but we want all six of the other ones too. And then Psalm 1:2 says, but his delight is the law of the Lord, and his law doth meditate day and night. That's what, yes, we want. So, all right, so your spiritual goals. So you want to write it down 1 to 10. Spiritually, where you think you are now. Take your snapshot. Where do you think you're now? My goal spiritually is to get into Word every single day. Every single day. Now, that's not negotiable. And so here, let me tell you, it could just be one verse, one scripture. Like you guys got in the Word today because I've been reading a bunch of scriptures to you. So I know that's an easy goal, but you'd be amazed. Last year, I didn't. Like there was days I would go by and not get into the Word until, our Bible fellowship or, whatever was going on. So I do have a morning routine. Part of it's to pray, read, listen the Word, and get into it. And of course, part 2 is to strengthen my prayer life. And so every single day, I have to pray for at least 2 people. Now, that's easy too, but again, this is a goal that I absolutely will not miss, period, in 2021. So you can set something similar to that. It seems easier. I'm telling you right now, it didn't work. I had the same goal last year and I didn't work. Like I said, when your mind, if you're not into routines and everything's kind of shook up, and it's easy to get out of that. So, but I have, I start setting reminders on my phone, setting reminders on my computer, and of course, reminders at home. So I have what's called trigger points. And you guys, this could be a little sidetrack here, but I also pray for people when things are triggered. So number one, when I see somebody's birthday on Facebook, of course I say happy birthday, but immediately it tells me to pray for them. I just pray for them, their lives and their prosperity and their health and family. And it's just an easy way to, try to pray for somebody once a year at the very least, because some of my friends, I haven't seen them in 15, 20 years just on Facebook, but I'll pray for them. Number two, my daughter and I, we started this years and years ago, but we all do it as a family now, is when we hear a siren, we start praying because somebody's having a bad day, right? Whether it's a fire, ambulance, police, we're just going to pray for the people involved and of course to take care of them. When I see, when I come to work, before I get out of my car, I pray for my employees. I pray for, my working relationships with my customers and hoping that they're, my customers are prosperous as well. So you can do that too. So these are goals you can set. So that's all part of that. There's more to this, but my prayer life, is get in the Word daily and of course pray for others. So, all right, write down your number and we'll move on to the next one. Okay. So the next 3, these are all interpersonal. Interpersonal means without, relating or involving relations between people, other people. So professional is outside, social is outside of you, familiar outside of you. So let's start with this. All right, let's do familial first. We love our families. To me, it's our relationships. My relationship with my family is extremely critical in my goals of life. And I want to keep this in balance. Unfortunately, it hasn't always been that way. There's days like some of you guys, I know some of you that are on here, you're working 18, 20 hours a day and then you're tired and you go home, and the weekends you're working, some of the weekends, or you're trying to get caught up around the house. And so you really don't take the time you need to be with your family. So is this quadrant 2? Yeah, it is. Family is very much quadrant 2. It's very urgent. I'm not urgent, but it's extremely important. Very, very important. So it took me a while to get back in line with that. When I first, of course, when I first learned this, 20 years ago, I was very on top of that, but then just slowly you get into the thick of thin things, and you forget to keep the first things first, right? So the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. All right, 1 Timothy 5:8 says, but if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he is denied the faith, or even more says than an unbeliever. Ouch. That is a harsh statement, but it says a lot, doesn't it? Right? And of course, we love our children. Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. My kids are absolutely not perfect, but man, I think they're close. And I would, a lot of people say their kids are awesome. Kids are awesome. The only difference is, in my case, it happens to be true. Okay, I'm sure all your kids are awesome too, but and I'll give your mother all the credit because it wasn't me, but they're amazing. I have a 20-year-old daughter who's a sophomore in college, and she's fantastic. She still lives with us, and my son is 17 now, and he's fantastic too. And they're just good kids. So we did train them up. I think close to right as we could in nurturing the admonition of the Lord, and that was a big part of my goals, and I want to continue to do that. I don't want to lose that relationship or lessen that relationship. I actually want to deepen it this year. So Deuteronomy 11:19 says, you shall teach them to your children, taking of them when you are sitting in your house. Look, watch this. When you're sitting in your house, when you're walking by the way, and when you lie down, when you rise up. In other words, you should teach them out all the time. That pretty much covers all life, right? Everywhere. Teach all the time. And I did. And of course, my son drove him crazy after a while. So I had to kind of hide it because he's like, Dad, are you preaching again? So I had to, do like Mr. Miyagi on Karate Kid and do it in different ways by teaching, with the axe or, wash on, wash off, but actually teaching him a biblical principle. But he knows he's not stupid, but he's a lot more patient with me because I used to just drill him all the time. Oh, son, that's a good lesson. And he's like, no more lessons. So you got to be careful on that. But anyway, he knows I love him, and that's why I do it. And of course, husbands, we should love our wives, even as Christ also loved the church, and he gave himself for it. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his own wife loveth himself, or loveth his wife loveth himself. Ephesians 5:25 and 28. And then, of course, wives, Ephesians 5:33. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself, and thy wife see that she reverence her husband. Do you understand? This is not a family class, which I'd love to teach someday, but of course, you see the reverence comes from the wife. The love starts with the husband. Now, they both need to do both, but the wife should start the reverence, and the husband should start the love, and then they'll intermingle and then cross over, right? So then husband, of course, reverences his wife, and the wife loves his husband, but that's where it starts. And so write that down, familial, on a scale 1 to 10. And this is, I'll be honest with you, in the last year or two, this was really fluctuating, going down. In fact, I think this was my chart 2 years ago. It's on the screen. So, it's, you want to make sure. Now this year, we've gotten closer because we've had more time at home, believe it or not. In some areas, I think I'm closer with my kids and maybe not so much with my wife. So I got to fix that. So more date nights. All right. Oh, I got to tell you my familial. Okay, so 12 vacations. That's going to sound like a lot. Let me go back here. So everybody's going, holy crap, 12 vacations. Well, it's not as sexy as you think. It's actually only 4 vacations, 3+ days. So 4 bigger vacations where we go as a family over 3+ days. So we usually do 1 big trip a year, and I try to schedule that out. We don't have it scheduled so far for 2021 because nothing's really open yet. But we are going to Universal Studios on January 28th, 29th, 30th, which is a family. We'll stay 3 days. So that counts as one of the 4, and then I have to do 3 more. We have a cabin already rented. I'm probably I can move it, but it's at the end of February. I might move it to March, but we'll stay in a cabin up in this lake in Alabama it's actually 4 days. So that's number 2, and then we'll have 2 more. So I'd like to take a cruise. We usually go somewhere in New York or something. I'm going to try to I'm going to Philadelphia in September. I want to take my whole family, but my wife's not so on board yet because school's in session, I think, at the time. So anyway, so write down your familial goals. I have date nights. I told you that earlier. So my wife and I were married on the 25th. My birthday's on the 25th. So we try to do a date night that night. And sometimes it's just cook each other dinner at home and just be together at home. But we try to, make sure we go out of our way. But same thing with my kids. So my daughter was born on the 7th. My son was born on the 15th. So not only on their birthday month, of course, on the birthday month, we're going to do something special, but we try to do something that night for them or that day. So we wake up and I say, happy Lexi Day, happy Saxon Day. And then we try to schedule something, for them. And it could be a lot of times it's just dinner. We can go to the movie or we could, play games or do whatever. We try to do something different on their day. We call them date nights. So take that for what you will. You can do the same. All right. So I know we're getting into here a little bit. We got any more questions? Okay, yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up here in a couple more, and we're doing fine. So make sure you're hanging in there. Yes, the recordings. I got a couple of questions here. The recordings will be available for sure. I'm going to email them as soon as I can, as soon as it's over. All right, social. So write down on social as your next category in life. How's your social life? Well, and then people would argue that it's not that important to meet new friends or hang out with other people. I would argue that is wrong. Friendships, absolutely, we want to be building positive relationships, but the whole of the relationship is much greater than the sum of its parts. God created us as communal people. I would say animal, but communal people. That's the way he created us. We're made to be around other human beings. In fact, obviously there's tons of studies. I don't need to get into all the studies, but you take a human out and put them in seclusion or solitary like they do in the prisons, and there's major mental problems happen, including death, up to death, if you do it long enough. So we are made to be around other people. So it's also our circle of influence, right? So to me, I always, as far as social, I want to grow my circle of influence. I just do every single year, every single month. And so it's an ebb and flow too. So there's no status quo in circle of influence. We lose some friends, win some friends and stuff just because of circumstance. But I strategically and specifically set goals to grow my circle of influence. And I think you should too. You can do this for a couple ways. Your church, the ecclesia, which is the called out, doesn't have to be a physical building, but the church, the body of Christ, which is us, probably everybody who's on here, right? So we want to grow. I think you should want to grow in the ecclesia, in the church, in the called out one. So that means you want to get to know new, wonderful, awesome believers. You want to get to know them, physically, and of course, be part of their life. I set a goal. Where's my social? So I set a goal to build 2 new core friendships. Now I did build one friendship last year. I knew, and a guy named AJ, he may be on here. I consider him a good friend now, and we're going to get stronger and closer. One, because he's got cool toys that I want to play with, but he actually, he owns a company that installs, like TVs and, all the surround sound and everything, but not just that, like electronic curtains and all the cool, smart home stuff. It's awesome. I'm gonna need to come do my house. So, but anyway, I try to set a goal to meet 2 new people, and not just meet them, but have them over for dinner, get to know their family, their wives, their children, and and bless them. I usually somehow to bless them. A lot of times we'll go out on the boat or go. My mother-in-law has a condo. We'll go stay at a condo out on the beach and just kind of hang out with each other. So I set that goal to make 2 new core friendships, and then, of course, a goal is to strengthen my current friendships. There's friends that, that kind of ebb and flow, and I'm like, hey, the emotional bank account, which I'll talk again later. Am I making a deposit or do I make a withdrawal? I need to make sure I'm making deposits. And then socially, I've set a goal to do 12 extra social meetings this year. So since last year, we really no meetings were going on, but now we got chamber meetings and, Better Business Bureau meetings, which I think Tammy's on here, which is cool. So we can get to meet other Better Business Bureau members and all these other meetings that we have. So I'm going to go to 12 extra meetings to get to, because I always meet people, right? You meet some really cool people at these meetings. So I'm going to schedule that and make sure I hit that as a goal. So hopefully you can do that too. Social networks. I'm the past president of my Rotary Club. It's a good title. It's one of my favorite titles, past president. And of course I was involved with Pensacola leaders and a few other things. So you can do the same thing. Get involved with your chamber or your local networking clubs and philanthropic clubs, those kind of things, and give back. All right. So write down your number. Let's go 1 to 10 there. All right. Last or 2 here. I think we got a couple. Your professional, your job. So to me, it's, career, your achievement, make a difference, your status, of course. We got to remember that usually the largest percent of our time is spent on our professional life, right? So even if you're just doing 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, that's still probably a big majority of your life is going to your career. So you want to choose wisely, and it better be something that blesses you immensely and helps you grow in these other areas. If it doesn't, you need to rethink that. And I know that's hard because there was a point in my career that it didn't, and I had I didn't want to, I was a creature of habit. I didn't want to change. Change is hard. Nobody likes it, but it wasn't serving me anymore. So I needed to change, and thank God, literally thank God for forcing that change, because he did. He forced it. Okay, cool. All right. But I love what you do. Nobody ever said on their deathbed, I wish I would have spent more time at the office, Dr. Stephen Covey. So put your professional number down. My professional, it gets a lot more complicated. Of course, I have goals, weekly, monthly goals for each of my businesses. I have three businesses. I have 2 corporations, 1 LLC. And so I write down specific things that I'm trying to do with each one of them. One of them for Prosperous Christian, which is one of my consulting company. I'm actually finishing a book. It's called Prosperous Paradigm. And I like the word prosperous. I write a newsletter called Prosperous Partner, Prosperous Paradigm. I have a marketing agency called Prosperous I Am. Going overboard with the word prosper because of 3 John 2, right? Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health. Okay, financial. Financial is, to me, this is the fruit of the other 6. Remember, I told you it's hard to say, hey, I want to make an extra 30,000 this year. Well, you can't really do that. It's like losing weight. I want to lose 20 pounds. You need to do it off of the productivity, the things, the activity and productivity that you're doing. So what I'm saying is, you can set the goal to work out 208 times knowing you're going to lose weight. Well, financial as well. You set the goal to make more money in assets, or you're subtracting your liabilities, your debts, which obviously nets you a lot more money. Or financial, and then your cash flow, living within your means. So these are things you want to pay attention to. So I do set a financial goal to increase. In fact, it's very aggressive. It's increase my net income 40%. And you guys are going to go, holy crap, that is very aggressive, because it is. And the reason, we basically spent all of 2020 setting up for 2021 to launch. And I have a lot of irons and a lot of fires, and some of them are igniting as we speak. They're igniting. Part of my book and my membership and my coaching, all that stuff is igniting, but my Prosperous internet marketing company is igniting, and my Word Masters is doing okay. That's my wife's company, and we'll continue to grow that, but everything else is launching. So you can do the same thing though. So you can set a goal, but just know that the way to hit the financial goal is these other 6 things. If you do these other 6 things I'm telling you, and specifically with the goals that we're setting, you will hit your financial goal. Get it? Got it? Good. Okay, so how's your balance, right? So when you do the circle, what you do is you draw a line over to the next one. So if you're 8 and you're 5 here, you just draw a line over to 5, and then if you're 9, you draw a line there. And so what's going to happen is you're going to see like a circle, like a tire. Some of you guys, your tire may look like this. It could be a little flat, on some sides. My tire looked like this last year. That's exactly how my tire looked. I don't know how you guys' tire looked, but it's crazy, huh? So you want to hit your goals. We got a bunch. Let's see. I'm going to make sure that all the questions are answered here. Yes, good there. Okay, I see a bunch of you guys jumping on, and then the Facebook group we got quite a few people too. Okay, cool. So we're gonna continue on. That's just the snapshot. So we really got 2 more things to go. We want to know who we are now. Now, once you take your snapshot, this is who you are. Pretty much in these categories. Now you want to see where you're going. So compass and stopwatch. Stopwatch is the time. How are we going to do it? So we're going to talk specifically in the next year. So find your true north, and we'll go from there. So I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. Philippians 4:13, my son's favorite verse. He has it on his baseball bat. We engraved it on there. It just helps him. Of course, so we can hit our goals. And God wants us to hit our godly goals. Yeah, preface that, make sure the goals are set right? It can't be a goal to win the lottery, right? That's not a good goal. God's not going to help you with that. It says, get rich quick shall fall. And that's obviously, not available according to Scripture. So, it's not a goal we want to set, but we can hit our godly goals, which means God gives us favor, and specifically in those areas, so we can do that, right? Okay, how do we hit them? For it is God which worketh in you both to will and do of his good pleasure. We said this earlier, Philippians 2:13. So, but in the Amplified, this is kind of cool. Not in your own strength, for it is God who is all the while effectually at work in you, energizing and creating in you the power and desire both to will and to work for his good pleasure and satisfaction and delight. Doesn't that give it a little more insight? I love it. It's awesome. Think about that. God's saying that he's here, wants to both will and do of his good pleasure. He's going to work in us to do that. When you believe that, and I do wholeheartedly, and you should too, that God wants to work in us to do his good pleasure. In other words, work through us for our godly lives. And when we set godly goals, he will help us, absolutely help us hit those goals. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. That's exactly what he's saying. Okay. So put God first. All right. Some of you guys heard me say this. I've been working on this. This has changed over the years too. You guys see my evolution of Eddie. We have changed. So cool. 100%. Good job. Right down. All right. So 4 circles of success. Used to be pillars. I used to do 3 pillars of success. Now I got 4 circles. I'm changing. I want to be a circle. Number 1, mindset. This is your attitude, your beliefs, your thoughts. So none of us lack knowledge. Truly, we have knowledge, but we don't need to take another one of these webinars or anything. Most of the stuff I'm teaching you, you probably heard before, seen before, done. Hopefully I can say it in a unique way that encourages you to actually implement. But our mindset is absolutely critical to success. There's no doubt about it. We're going to go into that. Number 2 is skill set, your abilities, your aptitudes, your proficiencies, your competencies, techniques, your trainings, your skills. We have to talk about that. You have to encourage and develop your skills, your mindset and your skill set. And then you got to have your tools, right? Your SOPs, your standing operating procedures, your software, your hardware. They are the cheat codes. Your tools are the cheat codes to success. So you need to be able to have them and use them the right way and implement them. So mindset, skill set, tool set. The last one is get off your asset. That's your actions, your execution. That's actually implementation, right? We want to make sure that you implement. This is the gnosko. Remember, to know, the knowledge is to actually implement by experience instead of just perceive, like oida. And then that's success. Now, if you're missing these, let's say you're missing the willingness to take action, right here up on the screen, it's going to miss success probably. If you're missing the tools to do the job, you're going to miss success. Or if you're missing the right mindset or missing the skills, right? So you want to make sure you have all 4 of those. So here's the 4 reasons why people don't hit their goals. Fear, doubt, and worry, right? Fear, doubt, and worry is your mindset. Fear, doubt, and worry. So what was the saying? If doubt, worry, and fear was liquor and beer, some people would be drunk every day of their life. Okay. Number 2, don't know what to do or how to do it. This is your skills, right? So you need to figure that out, and we'll talk about that. And then you don't have the tools or assets to do it. You don't have the tools. And then last one is lack of resolve, your commitment or motivation. So here we go. Get rid of your head trash. I already talked about this. So, for God hath not given us the spirit of fear. No, but a spirit of power, a spirit of love, and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. So doubt, worry, and fear's got to go away. So we got to get into this. This is Donald Hebb's, and I don't have time. This is in my new book, The Process of Forming, Strengthening, and Solidifying Neural Pathways. This is all, physiology and sociology and psychology. But scientists know that these neural pathways are molded and shaped every single day by our experiences and our thought patterns. We do it over and over again, and then it makes these little grooves. These neurons fire; they wire together, make these little grooves in our brain. So, to create new pathways, though, we must upset the status quo, right? So we got to say, all right, we need to go a different direction. We got to change our thoughts, behaviors, and reactions. Those are our feelings too. With specific stimulus. So there's a whole science behind this. In fact, it's like a whole 2 chapters in my new book. It's our personal paradigm, the way we see things. That's why it's called Prosperous Paradigm, my new book. We need to see things in a different way. And of course, it's going to be the godly way. We can change these automatic reactions, thoughts, and behaviors by consciously and repetitiously changing the way we view that stimuli, and then ultimately the way we respond to that stimuli. So I don't have time to get into any more of that. Our mindset is not set. I mean, we can change it. In other words, we can change our dang mind. And to do that, we need to upset status quo. Earlier I told you there's no status quo. Really, I mean, it's ebb and flowing, but you need to upset it. So here's how you do that. Dr. Covey tells us every human has 4 unique human endowments. Like a dog does not have this. My new puppy, German Shepherd, Isla Joy von Schottenhaus, she does not have these unique human endowments. One is self-awareness. She is definitely not self-aware. Number 2 is conscious. Number 3 is creative imagination. Number 4 is independent will. So, our consciousness and our abilities to see things, we are responsible. Responsible means we are able to respond in any given situation. If I was to smack my dog, she can only do 3 things and only 3 things only. Same thing with a monkey or an amoeba or whatever you want to figure out. Only humans can do this. Is there space between stimulus and response? And that means my dog can fight, flight, or freeze. That's it. She has no other choices. Now, I have never smacked her. I'd be scared too. I don't know what she'd do. She'd probably just freeze or fright. I don't know. Hopefully she wouldn't attack me. She's tough as nails. So, but a human being, right? If a smack a human being, you have those 3 choices as well. In fact, younger kids and babies, of course, or they fight, flight, freeze is usually what they do. But as we get older, we get that space between stimulus and response. We can choose something else. We can laugh. We can turn our head. We can do nothing. We could grab that and block it, right? We have all kinds of self-awareness and consciousness that we can change and stop our mindset at any given moment. It's our unique human endowments. So I want to get into this just for a second, just because I have a story to tell you. I know we're about right. We're going to finish up this time, so keep hanging there with me. My beautiful daughter, this was several years ago. I don't even know how many years ago. So 10th grade, she was probably 4 years ago. You can see she still had braces back there. So I teach a kind of like we call it a leadership camp. It's called RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, RYLA. And for 4 days in the woods, we take them up in the woods and we do all these initiatives. They're actually games with a purpose. So, there's a bunch of them. I don't need to get into all that, but one of them is called the pamper pole. That's this picture you're seeing now. The pamper pole is a 30-foot telephone pole with little knobs on it that you climb up and jump off. And so we call it the pamper pole because I have seen an inordinate amount of big football players cry at the top, and we, wear their pampers. So I think they changed the name a couple years ago called the Leap of Faith. Just trying to make it a positive thing, but it's still the pamper pole to me because it's scary. And here's the thing, you're all big and tough until you get up there, and it's scary. And so here's my daughter. She's starting to climb, and she's looking pretty good. And then let me give you more backstory here. So I've been doing this for 10 years, almost 11 years. So she's been hearing about this camp, not necessarily just this one, but the whole camp, leadership camp since she was little. And I said, well, okay, when you're in 10th grade, you'll get to go because you have to be invited to go, and we can kind of influence it if we're one of the leaders. So I said, you're going to go when you're in 10th grade, and she's heard about this pamper pole because I was telling my wife about it. This big football player crying. And she, in like a couple of years before, and I hope she forgot, but she did not forget. She said, Dad, tell me about this pamper pole. And then I'm like, no, honey, it's fine. You don't need to know. So, I was clear on the other side of the woods because I wasn't allowed to be near her, which makes sense. I don't want to influence her, but she had it in her mind. She wanted to make me proud because she's heard about this pamper pole, and she heard me talk about all the people that don't do it. And she's like, no, I'm going to do it. And she's going to make sure. So I had my friend there taking video and pictures. He took all these photos. So you'll see. So look at her demeanor there. It's changed. Now she's getting to the top. Her whole demeanor changed, right? So she's one step from the top and she's Niagara Falls. just bawling. And I get it. Like, my favorite quote from Mike Tyson is, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? punch. So here's what happened. She had it in her mind. She was going to do this, and she gets to the top, and reality hit. It's scary. 30 feet up. Now she's on a harness, as you can see, and you know, all kinds of things. But so she took one more step. Now look at her. She's bawling. She sat there like this. Could you imagine? Think about this. For 3 minutes and 21 seconds. I know this because I looked at the tape. I have the videotape, and I counted it. 3 minutes and 21 seconds like this, crying at the top of her lungs. Now below is her team. It's, you know, all the camp leaders. There's probably 30 people below her cheering her on. They're all, go Lexi, go. It's pretty cool. The video is really cool. And she's crying. And then out of the blue, like literally within seconds, she just stopped crying. She stepped up. She composed herself. See the volleyball right there? You got to jump out and hit that. That's about 10 feet out. It looks closer, but it's about 10 feet out. You got to jump out and hit it. She hits it, and then she comes down. So why am I telling you this? She changed her mind. She literally did exactly what Dr. Covey said. She did what the unique human endowments did. This is something a dog cannot do. She had self-awareness. She realized, she told, okay, well, here was her answer. I asked her, I go, what changed? After 3 minutes and 21 seconds, what changed? And she said, the pole stopped shaking, which that's a good answer. But she said, the pole, I couldn't step up because the pole was shaking so bad. The pole stopped shaking, so I stepped up. Now, we all know that ain't her mind. She got control of her mind, didn't she? Right? We know this is a mindset problem. You know, she had the Elvis Presley shaky leg up there. And so what happened is she became self-aware. She did the 4 things that the unique human endowments. She became self-aware that if she falls, she's fine, right? And she's on a harness. She's not going to die. She's not going to hurt. So she literally changed her mind. Said, "Wait, you know, all right. I mean, it's not. If I fall, it's no big deal. If I take the next step and I fall, I'm not going to die. I probably won't get hurt, and it'll just be fine." She consciously was aware of what to do next steps, right? She was conscious of what it took to succeed in this thing. And then by her creative imagination, so she has this creative imagination, she's like, all right, I need to visualize myself, which is what a dog can't do. I'm going to visualize myself taking that step up and hitting the ball and seeing victory. So she said she saw her victory, right? Remember, she wanted to make me proud. That's a pre-thought. That's consciousness. That's planning down the road with her creative imagination. And then, of course, with her independent will, the last thing, the 4th thing, with her independent will, she chose to overcome all that fear and step up. That's what she did. And as a father, I couldn't be more proud of her. And you can do this too. Setting and hitting your godly goals, you can control your mindset. You can do this now. Thank God you're not on top of a 30-foot pole, right? You you probably could do it on the ground in some sense of, normalcy, and you can change your mind. But you can do these 4 things. So I don't have time to go more of that. If you want more of that, I'll just hold 2 chapters on that on my new book. I'll give that to you later when it's out. Probably won't be out till middle of the year. Okay, skill set. So I went on that kind of long because that's an important mindset is the most important of all these. Everything else falls apart if you can't control your mind. But discipline practice, right? So we know all this. There's been studies and studies and studies. In fact, I'll just bring it up here. We don't know what to do or how to do it, but it's skills. Ecclesiastes 1:9 says, history merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing is new. Nothing under the sun is truly new. This is true, right? And so what I mean by that is success leaves clues. So we don't have to reinvent things. Like, we're not trailblazers. Trailblazers gets arrows in their back. I promise you, there's probably more than 50, different books you could read on your subject, your business, your skill, or whatever you want to get good at, or whatever goal you're trying to set. There's probably books on it. There's seminars on it. There's probably online, trainings and webinars like I'm doing now. There's probably in-person. You can go fly to an in-person conference to learn about how to hit your goal that you're trying to do, right? You can get a mentor or a coach. You can get online classes, in-person conferences. So, your abilities, your aptitudes, your proficiency, your competency, your techniques, your trainings, all that stuff can be learned. And I can prove that. So there's all kinds of discipline practice that's happening. So you guys have seen... the violinists. Talking about the 10,000 hour rule, right? So if they say that you can become world class with 10,000 hours of on purpose practice. So you got to be careful what I'm saying there. So it's in the outliers. Malcolm Gladwell says that. You can become world-class if you put in 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. So you need to set your hard skills and soft skills, and they should be as your success a part of your goals. We already talked about it in the categories, but you need to set goals to get better in your hard skills and soft skills, because your skill set is critical to success. It really is. So, okay. The third reason why people don't hit their goals is their tools. So your software, hardware, SOPs. So you don't have the tools or assets. I mean, I don't want to dwell on this, but to me, this is like, you'd be amazed how many people get stuck here. I consult. Obviously, we have hundreds of clients, and we consult, and tons of people are stuck on hardware and software. They're like, I don't know how to do an autoresponder. I don't know how to send an email. Or a newsletter, or like, I don't know how to pay my employees commission because my software doesn't know how to do it. Like, it's amazing what the excuses they get. And so my job is to help them and get beyond that. Like, sometimes you get stuck. So to me, beg, borrow, and work for it, but get the tools. And remember, success leaves clues. It's so easy nowadays, so easy to reverse engineer somebody who's successful in your category, in your business. If somebody's doing what you're doing already and they're successful at it, why try to do something different? Do what they're doing. Like a lot of times they'll give you their tools, or they'll tell you exactly what they're using to do it, because it's not competition, more than likely. I know there's a lot of coaches on here. Some of you guys are, I've befriended a lot of coaches, like business coaches and even personal coaches and Christian coaches. So I know some of you guys on here are coaches. So there's a lot of people out there doing a really good job with coaching, from the software that they use to coaching, to training and teaching, to getting results and actually accountability and all that stuff. So, you guys, that's out there, and those guys are willing to share it. I share a lot of my tools and software. I have no problem telling you. I'm not hiding anything. Now, some of it we've made ourselves. So you have to kind of figure that out, but most of it's out there and you can just buy it. So, okay. Maps versus shovels. So I believe, so if mindset and tools set, or mindset and skill sets, golly, I'm getting confused. If mindset and skill set is what we call a map, that's like, the map means here's where you find the gold, and it shows you a map to the goal, right? Your tool set is actually the shovel, or your backhoe, or it could be a bulldozer, right? So to me, the tools is the shortcut to getting to the goal, or, obviously hitting your goals, or, success, whatever you want, however you want to explain it. So yes, you have to have the maps. You need to know where where your true north is. That's the map. It's mindset, skill set. But the third part is how do I get the tools to get there faster, quicker, shortcut it? And that's your shovels. So I don't have time to get into all that, but that's where hardware and software comes in. And it is the cheat codes of success. Massive action, right? So fourth reason why people don't hit their goals is lack of resolve, discipline, commitment, belief, motivation. This is get off your tail, get off your behind, and move. And Luke 9:62 says, and Jesus said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of God. Or meaning, literally it's saying is fit to teach the kingdom of God, because you want move ahead, right? We want to move ahead. So Mark 11:23-24 says, verily I say unto you that whatsoever you shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and thou be cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in thy heart, his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, and he shall have whatever he saith. Therefore I say unto you, whatsoever thing you desire, when you pray, believe that you receive, and you shall have them, right? The word believe is pistis. That's the Greek word pistis, which is just like the English word believe. It connotes action, right? All verbs connotes action, means you have to do something with it. You have to do something with it. Jesus said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believe. And then part of that is to have accountability. I wanted to jump in this real quick. I know I'm going through this fast now, but these are kind of a given, but I need to have them in there too, so you can do this. Accountability is our way of holding ourselves accountable in front of others. So it's part of that interpersonal aspect, right? So I say, do a video of you saying what you will accomplish by the end of 2021. And now you don't need to send it out necessarily. You can send it to a friend if you want to, but it's just, you on your phone going, here's my 7 goals, 7 categories of goals, and here's what I want to do. Okay. And you'd be amazed at how well that will help you. Now, that's what I'm doing. Just to be honest, that's what I'm doing right now. I am doing this. I'm telling you my goals. So I am committed to hitting them in 2021 because I only hit 2 of them in 2020. So that ain't going to happen. Okay. So make sure that you're doing these goals into bite-sized chunks, right? So spiritual, physical, mental, professional, social, familial, financial. Each one of those should be broken down. So I told you the 12-week year, the guy, which makes his way kind of makes sense, but mine is 13 weeks because it's 13 weeks every quarter. Anyway, I guess he's saying you take a week off. That's actually better. I like his better. You take a week off each quarter. You only work for 12 weeks, then you take a week off. Yeah, anyway, all right. So you want to make sure that you break these down into quarters, and you want to break them down to monthly, and of course, weekly and daily. So I like I said, I break them down to 13 weeks, weekly, and then daily goals. All right, here's my word of the year. And I already told you this. And because I didn't commit, obviously, last year, because the word commit means do, right? Until the end that you do. And I failed. I missed 5 of my 7 goals. I don't care about the circumstances. I really don't care about anything that happened last year. With these goals, there's no reason why I should not have hit them all. No reason. I mean, really, truly, it comes down to commitment. So my verse of the years is these verses. You can have more than one. Psalms 37:5 says, commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. In other words, he will help you, right? We want to commit our ways to the Lord. So we want to commit these personal goals to him, and he will act. Remember, he gives us favor when they're godly goals. Numbers 30, verse 2, if a man vows a vow to the Lord and swears an oath to bind himself by a pledge, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. Yes. So I vowed a vow to hit those goals last year, and I didn't. So I basically broke this. And I swear and bind an oath and a pledge to God that I'm going to do these, because these are set off of activities and productivity that I can do. And no matter what the economy does, no matter who's president, no matter what's going on, I can do these daily, weekly, monthly, every 13-week goals for sure. And one more, Proverbs 16:3 says, commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. So I'm committing to him. And you can do the same thing. Say, God, these are my personal goals for 2021. I'm committing them to you. They're godly goals, means they're in alignment with your word and not against it. And I expect you to help direct my plans and establish them. And that means you're going to help me hit them. So you can do this. You can do this. How do you do this? So this is one of my favorite sayings. This is called exponential little bits. And here's the definition: tiny but relentless changes that compound to make a daily miracle or a miracle. The power of an elb, an exponential little bit, lies not in its size, but in its daily occurrence. For an elb to work its exponential magic, the little bit must happen every day, every day, every day. Okay. So I believe that, Einstein said the most powerful law in the universe is compounding. Now he took 20 some years of study to say that. Now he didn't mean it in like compound interest, like some people say, but he did say compounding is one of the most powerful laws in the universe, because it is. And when you do these exponential little bits, that's how you do it. It's called the upward spiral. As you start doing these little things, you will win. So I believe you should celebrate these micro wins. And part of your physiology, your brain, your mindset will change when you hit these these physical, mental goals. I have to watch what I'm saying because I'm going to get into this here in a second. And you check it off. So it's a calendar. It could be literally a calendar that you check. Did I pray today? Check. Did I work out today? Check, right? You can do this. So winning, you guys ever seen The Mexican with Brad Pitt? It's a long time ago. He's like, I win. So I do that like 5-7 times a day. My wife she knows exactly what I'm doing. So when I fixed my hot tub last week, it was broken for like 3 weeks. I wanted to cry. So I fixed the hot tub and I'm like, I win. So when we celebrate these wins, what happens in your brain, the physiology, it actually produces testosterone in women as well. Testosterone and dopamine, which is very cool stuff because they're little happy pills, right? Testosterone and dopamine. When you win, you get this boost. And what happens? It's the upward spiral. So then now it encourages you to do more. So an object in motion tends to stay in motion. I'm throwing out all these analogies to you. So you should plan on micro wins every single day, multiple times a day, exponential little bits. So when you're setting up your personal goals, make sure you can break it down to 13-week bits, monthly bits, weekly bits, and daily bits, right? So you can check it off. My favorite thing, I know this sounds elementary, is a calendar. And on my fridge at home, I have a calendar that I check off when I work out. I have a calendar on my computer I check off when I do these specific business things, these my business goals. So you can do the same thing. And just when you check it off, it feels good to check it off, and you get that boost of testosterone and dopamine. So it's a chemical of pleasure. And God created it, so it's a good thing, right? Unless you overdo it. So change is inevitable, growth is optional. This is one of my favorite sayings, commitment. The chicken is involved, but the pig is committed. So I want you to be committed like a pig. No turning back, right? Burn the bridges, no turning back. Okay, what happens when we have setbacks? I'm wrapping it up here. I know we got quite a few still on here. I'm wrapping it up, but we will have setbacks. In fact, you should absolutely plan on a setback. So here's the thing. We got to stop looking for God's will in our comfort zone, because it ain't there. It is not there. God's will is not in our comfort zone for us, especially in 2021. So we're going to have to get out of our comfort zone, which means we will have some setbacks. So, but the good news is if we plan on it, and what we will do when we do have a setback, we can get back and get going. So here's exactly what we should do. We should reset. Reset. You're going to all right, that sucks. I messed up. I didn't do it, whatever. I failed, but never fall off the wagon more than one day in a row. So you fall off the wagon, it will happen. You'll not work out, right? So this is part of my commitment, by the way, just so you know. And there's all kinds of science in this. This is part of my book that I researched a lot. This took me like a month of research. One of the coolest things about setting these godly goals, if you have a setback and you fall off, statistically and scientifically, if you get back on the wagon the next day with only one day setback, you have like a 92% chance you will hit that goal. However, the reverse of that, it dramatically goes down. I don't remember what off the top of my head, it's in the book. It goes down to like 40% if you wait 2 days before you get back on the wagon, or 3 days. Every day you wait before, let's say you have a goal to lose weight and you want to whatever, or your goal to work out. That's easier for me. And you're supposed to work out, 4 days a week like me, but you missed, the first day, missed the second day, missed the third day. But the chances of you doing it the fourth day are astronomically lower than if you just got back on the wagon the second day. Does that make sense to you? I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. So I set a goal, my commitment, this is a micro commitment, that I will never fall off the wagon more than one day. Because I know statistically, if I get back on the next day, I'll hit my goal, much more probable than if I didn't. So just make that a goal for you too. Some is always better than none. You guys know my wife hates this statement, but I asked my accountant, this is true. Some is always better than none. Like, mathematically. So, even if you go to work out, let's say you can't, your goal like mine is to work out for, 30 minutes or whatever it is. But you can only do like 15 minutes because you're in a hurry. Some's better than none. Get on the treadmill for 15 minutes or just lift weights for 15 minutes. It's still better than none. Same thing with, your business goals or your spiritual goals. If you can only do one verse, one scripture today, hey, some's better than none. At least you got it done and checked off. That's why you want to leave it kind of open, to a little bit of room there. But, pray, you're supposed to pray for 2 people. Okay. Sometimes you can sit there and you can pray for 30 people. Sometimes you can only, pray for 1 or 2. So some's better than none. Always, always. So when we have setbacks, here's what I want you to do. I literally want you to go, all right, what happened there? You need to find the person, the experience, the skill, or the lesson from it. So 2020, if you had problems, some of us did, some of us didn't, some of us had the best year ever. But you need to find the person, the experience, or the skill, or the lesson from it. So sometimes you meet in this setback, you meet amazing new people. Sometimes you have an amazing new experience you need to learn from, or a skill you learn from, or a lesson from it. So write that down. And of course, therefore have no condemnation. So we tend to beat ourselves up. We fall off the wagon, we beat ourselves up. Maybe it's me, but do not beat yourself up. Like you need to move on. And guess what? We're still in child of God. He knows we're earthen vessels. What that means is he knows, we're made from the dust of the ground. We're not perfect. He knows our sin nature and all that. And we're going to fall off the wagon in any of these categories. So what? Say you're sorry, ask for forgiveness, move on, get back on the wagon the next day. So what? So double what? Move on. And guess what? Get back into the thick of thin things. And then you go, bam, I'm going to go back to my goals and get back into the main thing is to keep the main thing. Remember? So you go back to these. Only one day off the wagon. And don't condemn yourself. If anybody's been in one of my groups, you know that I do these accountability sheets. It comes from Dr. Jim Harris, one of my buddies. He used to call the D3 sheet, which is done, doing, do. And he'd make us fill it out once a month or whatever before we'd meet. And we kind of, at my mastermind group, we added 7. We added 4 more than this. So we have the done, doing, do, defer, delete, discussion, and decision. We try to fill these out. We definitely fill them out once a month. If we meet weekly, we fill them out weekly. What have you done this week? What are you doing? What are you working on this week? And what are you going to do by next week when we meet again? And then sometimes you have a defer, like, man, you know what? I just can't get to that. I thought I was going to get to it, but I defer it. Sometimes you delete it. Like that was a good idea. It sounded like a good idea. And it just doesn't fit with my goals anymore. Believe it or not, we try to delete quite a bit because we want it off our plate. We want to move it through the system. And this is our system that we use. So, this is a great way for you to move it through your system too. You write down your daily goals or weekly goals or your 13-week goals, monthly worth of 13 weeks. You can write these in there. So, and then you want to have a discussion. It's one of my favorite in a mastermind, right? Obviously, the whole is much greater than the sum of its parts, especially in the household, and that's in my book. But you want to have discussions about, hey, you know what? I got this issue. What should I do here? What's an idea? And it could be something as small as like, hey, how should I market this, or how should I go selling this, or who should I get involved? Who do you know that can help me with this? Or then you can have that discussion. And then you can make a decision on something. Sometimes some things are held in abeyance that you're just holding off of thinking about, and then you can make a new decision. And that's perfectly fine too. So doing, done. And I'll send you that sheet if you would like. Actually, I can do one of the attachments, my accountability goal worksheet. It's kind of a neat sheet that we use. I don't think I have one here in front of me. This is from my buddy Eldon. I don't think he's on here. I think he was on earlier, but or he might be on the Facebook page. But I told him this was last year I did this, so I thought it was funny, so I kept it this year. So accountability means that you are held accountable to someone or something else, and accountability is something that you can measure. It has to be measurable. So I told him if he has a goal, let's say he has a business goal to grow his business by $10,000 a month, in recurring billing. And if he doesn't hit it by the end of this year, he will give a check to PETA. And then some of you that knows Eldon, I don't know, some of you guys may not know him. He actually, one of his clients is called the Butcher Shop, and he sells steaks, meats, and all kinds of meat. And of course, he loves meat. He's a big meat eater. So to me, I mean, no offense if there's any PETA people on here, but it's funny because I told him to give a check to PETA if he doesn't hit his goals. That's called accountability, right? I mean, does that motivate him to hit his goal? Because it's true. I'll hold the dang check. Now he didn't do it, but I told him he should do it because the odds of him hitting the goal goes way up, right? If you have this accountability of this, you can do this with your friends and family. Like you can have people help you hold accountable. I told my mom I was going to take out a billboard because she used to smoke. And I said, I'll buy a billboard and said, if you see me smoking, I'll pay you $5,000. I said, I'll pay for the billboard, but you pay the $5,000 if they catch you. And she's like, no, don't do that. I'm like, why? And she's like, no, I don't want to pay $5,000. I'm like, because it tells me your mindset, right? It tells me you don't think you're going to make it. So you need to, if you knew you were never going to smoke again, why not put the billboard up? No big deal. She probably didn't want her picture on a billboard though. Tony Robbins says, until the pain of change is less than the pain of staying the same, people will not change. Pain is by far the biggest motivator. There's 4 motivators: pain now, pain in the future, pleasure now, pleasure in the future. Until the pain of change is less than the pain of staying the same, people will not change. unfortunately, it takes a lot of pain to change. We should just want to change anyway, even not in pain, right? That's part of the setting godly goals. We should just change no matter anyway, even if we're not in pain, because we want to further, our best. We want to go towards, our godly compass. All right, so batting behavior, I don't have time to get into this too much, but remember I told you about the calendar. So I did this for over 4 years, almost 5 years straight, where I wrote down BAT, batting behavior, behaviors, attitude, and techniques. I called it my batting. Every day I had a scale 1 to 10. If I, go cold call, 10 new clients. I think it was 10, maybe it was 5. That's been 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Anyway, when I was in radio and I was doing sales, so I had to go cold call 5 new businesses. And so I got a point for each one of those, or 2 points for each one, up to 10 points. And then my attitude on a scale 1 to 10, my attitude sucks today. I got rejected a lot. So my attitude's like a 2. And then techniques is like, am I getting better at, talking to people, getting better at helping people with their problems? Sorry. And the answer, was sometimes yes, no. So I would put a scale 1 to 10 on all 3 of those. And I did this for years and years and years. What I found out was the day that my attitude was a 2 was the day I closed my biggest client. So my behavior, I did the behavior. I actually didn't close. I met my biggest client. Sorry. So I wrote down, all right, went in cold call this. It was a construction company. They built homes. And then I had an attitude of 2 and, techniques. I did okay on techniques, I guess. And I went back and looked at my day planner. Like 3 months later, they closed for like over $12,000 a month or something like that. And we got 25% commission, just to give you an idea how much money that was to me. That was in my pocket. So I realized that if I just do the behaviors, my attitudes and my techniques will get better. So this is years and years and years ago. So I'm telling you this because in the 4 circles of success, the last one, get off your asset, is by far the second most important one. Mindset's number 1, obviously. Then the second most important one is to actually do the behaviors. The other ones will come into play. It'll force you to do the other ones, right? So Jerry Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld wrote a joke every day. I think he still does. He never missed. So he had a calendar just like this one on the screen. He checked it every time he wrote a joke every single day. And it could have been a good joke, a bad joke, didn't matter. He had to write a joke every day. You guys know John Maxwell. He says every day he does these 5 things. Every day he reads. Every day he thinks. Every day he files good material, like he files quotes and stuff like that. Every day he asks questions, and every day he writes. Every day. And he goes, what about Christmas? Yeah, every day. What about your birthday? Yeah, every day. Well, what about, when you're sick? Every day. What about, when your wife's in the hospital and you got to deal with that? Every day. Every day I read. Every day I think. Every day I file good material. Every day I ask questions. Every day I write. And he is not kidding, every single day. So that's amazing discipline. I'm not that great at it, but guess what? I get better when I have a calendar to check it off. Remember that that's a micro win? Check. I did this every day. Did you write today? Yep. Check. Did you file good material? Yep. Did you ask questions? Yep. Did you think? Yep. Did you read? Every day. Check, 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 check. So you can do that. These successful people like Jerry Seinfeld and Maxwell and all these guys, they can do it. We can do it. So 1 Corinthians 3:6-8 says, I have planted, Apollos water, but God gave the increase. Who gives the increase? God. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither is he that watereth, but God gives the increase. Now he that planteth and he that watereth are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his labor, his work. Now this is in the context of winning others to the word, increasing the household. However, this is very appropriate for us. Our job is to plant and water. That's it. God will give the increase. So do the activities, do the behaviors every single day. Your mindset will come around. Your mindset will come around too. I mean, even if your mindset's bad, if you're doing the behaviors, it'll force you. Eventually, you're going to sell something or you're going to do something. And you're like, wow, that actually worked. And you're going to get happy and you're going to celebrate. And then that upward spiral happens, right? So the best time to start doing the behaviors is the day after yesterday. No, sorry. Day before tomorrow is the absolute best time to start doing these disciplined behaviors. Check the box. All right, so persistence. I know we're going right on, or we're going over a little over time. I'm gonna finish it up. I have like 2 more screens. So this, I don't need to read you the whole thing. I'll tell you the parable. It's about persistence. So Luke 11:5-10 talks about that if you go knocking on his door and a friend at midnight, he won't open it. But suppose he says, don't bother me, and the door's locked for the night. But I tell you this, though he won't do it for friendship's sake, if you keep knocking long enough, he'll get up and give you whatever you need because your shameless persistence. Now, this is Jesus Christ talking about here. So he's telling you exactly how to get what you want. And so I tell you, keep on asking and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking and you'll find. Keep on knocking and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives. Everyone who seeks finds, and everyone who knocks, the door will be open. But the context above it is multiple times over and over and over again. The saying is go until you hear glass. Not exactly sure what that means, but it means go until you get it, right? Keep knocking until, your friend opens the door. That's what he's saying. There's 2 more verses on that. I'm not going to go into them, but he's saying the same thing. He repeats it. This is how you have persistence in prayer, and this is how you have persistence in hitting your goal. You keep doing it. Believe with massive action. So 2, faith or believing, remember, action by itself is not complemented. If it's not complemented by action, it's dead, James 2:17. How foolish. Can you see that faith or believing without good deeds is useless? James 2:20. Just write down just a couple more verses down. And a few more verses down, he says it again. And the body without the spirit is dead. So faith or believing without deed is dead also. So James 2:26. Isn't that cool? God's telling us that we need to have action. We have to believe and then have action. So there it is. 3 John 2, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. That's exactly my wish for you as well. And hopefully this helped you a little bit today. So, welcome to 2021. I'm your flight attendant, Eddie Hill, and we're preparing to take off with this new year. Please make sure that your attitude and blessings are secure and locked in the upright position. All self-destructive devices should be turned off at this time. All negativity and discouragement should be stored in the overhead compartments. We have removed the excess baggage that has been flying with you from 2020, and we are hopeful that your flights of the future and destinations is a smooth one. Should we lose altitude under pressure during their flight, please reach up and pull down in prayer. Prayers will automatically be activated by faith. Once your faith is activated, you can assist other passengers. Remember, there is no return policy on time, so make every mile count. So the new year offers you 365 blank pages. We have 361 left. 361 of those left. So write the most beautiful chapter of your life. That's this year. So wishing great health, great happiness, and prosperity in 2021. We have been cleared for takeoff. Thank you. All right. That's pretty much it. So recap, we found our true north. We took a snapshot of where we were. We looked at our compass where we want to be. We set our yearly goals. We broke them into bite-sized chunks. And then we set up our accountability. You got to have accountability. We made the commitment, right? The chicken or the bacon and eggs. Launch, take the action today. We need to launch. That's the stopwatch. And then we adjust as we go, right? Keep sowing, keep sowing, keep sowing. That's our job. And then celebrate our victories. Don't forget to do that. All right. That's pretty much it. I'll be glad to take, there's quite a few still on here. I know on the Facebook group I need to move over. But how do you get more of me? That's my email that goes directly to me. Yes, I check it all the time. At least once a week. No, I'm just kidding. I definitely check it once a day. That's one of the things I try to do is not have my emails open all the time. You guys learn. Somebody taught me that last year. I thought I was going to do it, and I tried to do it, and I couldn't do it. So don't leave your emails open. Only do it like twice a day. So the next way to get hold of me is this is my calendar. If you want to get on it, just go there, and then it says book a strategy session, book a quick call. There's like 3 options. They're free, and don't waste my time. If you have something we're talking about, I'll be glad to get on it. If it goes right to my calendar and it books it. So, and then make sure you tell me why you want to meet, and then I'll be glad to get on a Zoom call like this or something. And then of course, the last one, some of you guys, and thank you in the chat. I think it was my friends. They probably already have it. Maybe not. Asked how to get my book. So of course you can get it on, Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. Or you can go to prosperouschristianbook.com. There it is. And actually, I can put that in the, I'll put that in the chat. Let me get out of this real quick. Let's go all the way down. I'll grab that. Probably seeing my screen still. Okay. All right. So there's the link. So you can go there. So let me just quickly show you this. Okay. And then I know some of you got to jump off, but so this is where it will land you. I'm going to give you my book for free. Now it's kind of a misleader, but I'm actually pretty clear on it. says Prosperous Christian retails for $19.95, but we bought it for you, which I did. I have 200 of them here. We just ask you to pay the shipping and handling and receive it. Yes, you are paying $7.95 for shipping. And so it depends where you're at. Seattle, I think I lose money if I send it clear from Florida to Seattle. I definitely lose money if it's in Canada. I don't care where you're at. I'll send it to you for $7.95. So this will charge you $7.95. So it's not exactly full free. But anyway, I want you to have my book for $7.95. And then, of course, I will kindly ask you to leave me a review on Amazon or somewhere. I would love that, or just send me a video testimony. That'd be even cooler. But you can get it here and go through it, so you can see all the reviews I got and all the stuff. It's a really good book. I promise you. I spent 6 years writing it. There's a lot more to it. Some of you guys know a little bit about it. If you don't know anything about me, there's a lot of people on here that I've not had the privilege of meeting yet. I strongly recommend you get into we call it the flock. We're the followers of Mr. Christ himself, Big Brother. And so we have this really cool tight-knit group. This will help you get in the flock. So it'll also get you on my email list. I send out, I do newsletters every month and weekly emails for different things. Hopefully you want to get on it. Now, when you hit that and hit go, it's going to do an upsell. So you don't have to do the upsells, but I want to tell you what they are. For $47, you'll get the audio version, which I like. Remember, I told you that's my favorite thing. You get the audiobook, but you also get these 5 courses: Prosperous Christian Salesperson, Exponential Little Bits, Massive Growth to Your Bottom Line. Now this takes that whole thing into a whole other level. Online Marketing Bootcamp. If you want to know anything about online marketing, this is going to go through social media, Google Organic, Google Maps, pay-per-click, Facebook, LinkedIn, banner ads, retargeting, and then reputation. So I definitely recommend you get that. You also get the PC Owls of Prosperity. This is the 2.5, 3 hour course that goes through each of those areas, a lot more than I went into today. And then Who You Are in Christ is a very cool course to help you understand exactly who you are. And I'll give you all 5 of those for $47. So you just click on upgrade my offer. So you can do that if you want to, or you don't have to. And then after you hit that, then it's going to take you to one last thing. I love this. This is one of my favorite things in the whole world. And one of my goals, I didn't show you there, is to grow my PCU membership. This is called Prosperous Christian University. It's where we do bi-weekly trainings. Every other week we do get on and do training, and we kind of get into specific things. So it could be marketing stuff, could be business growth, could be leadership. We get into, and then of course at the end, it's usually like a half hour. Most of the time it's like 45 minutes. You guys still, I'd go long. But it's a teaching, and then at the end I actually do hot seats or one-on-one. If you have a question or comment or something I can help you with, we do that for another 15 minutes. So it goes about an hour every other week. So that's part of these live coaching calls. But you also get what we call the cool swag or Prosperous Christian surprise box, and it's inside the box. I got one here. It comes in the mail about this size. Sometimes they're bigger, and they come with unique stuff. So it could be, a Prosperous Christian mug. It will have your name on it because one of my companies, we personalize it. So, and then it could be a shirt, like this is a Prosperous Christian shirt. Let's see. Each month it's something different. It's like 3 to 4, personalized item. Like this is a cool notebook, has scripture on it, has the name on it. And, you can just fill out your notebook, maybe like a koozie, a pin with your name on it. Real nice. These pins are really nice. Could be a keychain with scripture on it. And then I always give every single month, I give a card, and I give you the stamp to send to a friend, because part of our goals, social goals, is to outreach our circle of influence and grow our circle of influence. And then also every month I send you my newsletter. I love this newsletter. It's usually like 32 pages. Depends on how many, and either I write it or my staff writes it. I usually try to write one, or my staff writes them. They're very, very good. So this one has loyalty and rewards programs, reputation for your business, autoresponders, relationship building, fans and followers on social media, and then each month it's really, really good. So these ones are about chat bots. If you're not using those, you need to be using them, and all kinds of different stuff. So that is on the upsell. So if you go to prosperouschristianbook.com, you can buy just the book for $7.95, or you can do the upsell for $47, or you can do this for only $67 a month. And that's my membership. That's where we do the biweekly coaching, and you get this box every single month. So it's actually it's worth a lot more than that. because the box alone is probably worth $120. So with the items that are in there, we sell these for $29.95 engraved and with your name on them. Here's one here that we've sent out. Sure. So you do the math, it's worth quite a bit. So that's it. All right. What questions do you have for me? Thank you. Oh, Rowena, am I saying that right? I hope I am. Thank you. I appreciate you sticking it through. You were here on the beginning. I know a lot of people jumped in and out. Yes, I'm going to send you the replay. As soon as I hit stop, it takes like an hour and a half for Zoom to compress it or whatever it does. And then I'll put it in my thing. And I'll chop off the end here and I'll chop off the beginning and then I'll upload it and send it out to you. So it shouldn't take me too long. Pat's still here. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And a couple of most everybody's jumping off now. So let me do this. Let me stop my share. Cool. I'm trying to get out of all this. Oh, don't do that. All right. Oh, AJ was on there too. Okay, cool. I'm seeing some of the stuff on the Facebook Live. All right. Very cool. So, yeah, it doesn't look like I have any question for you. What would be your response to Christians who criticize self-help books and state that the Bible should surprise insight that you need? Well, the answer is, all true. Let me watch what I say. All legit self-help books will always, whether they give it credit or not, will be taking it from the Bible, right? I truly believe that. If you go to Tony Robbins, like they don't, Brendan Bashar, Tony Robbins, they are. I have to watch what I say on that too. I guess they're Christians. They say they're Christians, so I have to take their word for it. But they're getting this stuff from the Bible. I mean, that's where all this stems from. And even if it wasn't the Bible, even before that, it was still God's word written in the stars, or was written, in the law. And before it was written down, it was still around. These same concepts and precepts and stuff biblically have been around for since the beginning. So I would argue that the self-help books, they may not give credit to the Bible, but that's where it comes from. If it's true, if it works. How about that? If it works. And that's why, setting godly goals, I can tell you a lot of goals that people set or whatever, what they're doing, how it's not godly. And we didn't get into that because I didn't want to be negative, but I can show you goal trainings and teaching that is not godly. It doesn't line up with the word. It actually is contradictory. Like I was telling you, you can't set a goal to win the lottery. You can't do that. God says it's not available. So scripturally we can't do that. But what can we do? Can't get rich quick. It says can't get rich quick. That's in my Bible, on my book, by the way. So there's a whole chapter on get rich quick. It's not available to get rich quick. So we, scriptures about the rich and how that works. So we need to, buy the word, and we need to go, okay, what is available? And that's the best question ever. What's available? And so I don't mind reading the self-help books. Obviously I read a lot of books. But I always align it with the Word of God. And if it contradicts it, then guess which one wins? Yeah. Very good question. I appreciate it. Have you mentioned it, but how do I find the recording if this is on Facebook? Yeah, I will post it in this Facebook group, John. Yes, you're in the Prosperous Christian Facebook group. I will post the recording on there too. So, and then you could go get it. And then, John, if I don't have your email, if you want to send me a private chat, I'll email it to you too if you want. That way you can, because eventually on Facebook it might go away, but I'll keep it open. Appreciate you guys being there and going through this. Okay, a couple more on Zoom here. What do we got? Thank you for sharing. Very informative. Appreciate it. Okay, looks like everybody's done. So I'm done. I had a blast. I had fun. I'm here to help you. Please go to prosperouschristianbook.com and get the book if you haven't had it yet. And then, or if you want to schedule an appointment with me, just go to prosperousim.as.me, and I'll be glad to talk to each one of you. With that, I guess get back to work. Get back to work. I'm done. You guys are awesome. God bless you abundantly in all categories of life, all 7 categories of life. Thank you very much, and appreciate you hanging out with me today.